Hey, what's going on, guys? We are back with another episode of the PokeTalk podcast. Here with Phillip. What's going on, man?
Hey, feeling pretty good. We had a local victory today with our foosball team.
Good old Mizzou game, pulling out a win.
Yeah, barely. But hey, they almost Mizzou'd themselves. But hey, we got that W.
We got it done. Move on.
Yeah.
We're playing Boston State, right?
College.
Or Boston College, yeah.
And their QB is actually very talented. Like he looked pretty good, but you know, our defense was very, very good as well. They were able to contain them, but
yeah.
Setting the highlight, if you watch the game, would be the 2nd and 59. Yes, 2nd and 59. There's like 5 straight penalties on that Mizzou had, so
yeah,
it was ridiculous.
Got a little sketchy there for a minute, but
yeah,
squeezed it out. As far as Pokemon goes, there isn't really much to talk about. We've been trying to shorten the episodes maybe a little bit, but this one might be the winner because there is really hardly any news. But yeah, starting things out, we have a few sets to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
We have Stellar Crown, which is all the English cards have been revealed. So we get a good look at Stellar Crown. I haven't really been keeping up with the latest sets, though, that much. Have you?
A little bit. I do like to keep up with the sneak peeks. I was not all that impressed with the Paradise Dragonia that we will go into later. But I will say one thing I love about Stellar Crown is we got the Lapras EX. Look at that Lapras. Hiding the little crown, but he looks all shiny and gleamy. And look at that. Look at that.
Yeah. Of all the EX and Terrestrialize cards there are, that one is probably one of the better ones. It hides the crown nicely, and it also puts in a bunch of other crystals, like shooting forward to kind of blend it in. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that one is actually pretty nice.
Yeah, obviously Lapras is like one of my favorite Pokemon. Top 5. Sometimes it's number 1. I think I ended up putting it number 1 on our list some time back. But, it's always good. And honestly, he got very underappreciated for a while. Lapras did not have cards for a long time. And then in the last, year? He's gotten 3 or 4?
Yeah.
It was something like that.
He got a lot of love in Pokemon GO. He was quite the tank in the early days. He was like the gym tank, like when the game first came out. And I remember I had I hatched one pretty early on and put it in a gym in my hometown, which is a small town, and it stayed there for like weeks, and people were like, how in the world do you beat this thing? Because the gym system was a lot different back then.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, getting a little love now. I actually like the normal art card of Lapras too. Kind of in the water. It would have been cool if that was like an illustration rare or something.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're doing a good job of all the EX cards and kind of, making the other parts of the card more busy, so it kind of takes away from the crown and doesn't stick out like a sore thumb as much. So I think they're doing a little better job with that.
I don't remember you said even they're embarrassed about it.
Yeah.
Remember you saying that?
Yeah, I mean, there's very few cards where they show it off in its glory. They try to like hide it in the artwork or put it off, the edge of the card. Yeah, it seems like they kind of know it kind of looks a little silly most of the time. Plus, it changes the overall identity of the Pokemon. Like, I think that's kind of an issue too. It's like we had Mega Pokemon, which obviously changed the appearance, but it becomes like a new Pokemon entirely. Then you had like the Z moves. It didn't really change the Pokemon. It was just special moves. Then yeah, it's like this keeps the Pokemon basically the same, but covers it in a crystal glaze and then throws that giant ugly thing on its head. So it changes the Pokemon at its core and for the worse, in my opinion. But
It changes it from the inside out.
It's the Terrapagos EX, like that.
Yep. That's
It's
yeah.
hard to
That's
even
one of my
tell what's
favorites.
going on in that card, like the normal EX. But yeah, the special art rare looks pretty cool.
That's one of the better ones from this era, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But that is just my own personal opinion on it. I
special
was
art rare
meaning
does look good, but
I was meaning to see what Lacey was going for. I assume that might be the top card from this set. It's just this set. If you're listening to this, this set just came out 24 hours ago or 36 hours ago. So I'm not sure what the market's going for that, but I'm just curious if the waifu is still reigning supreme in ultra modern.
oh, you know it is. I do, I do like the Metatite, and then the Zorora. Like I remember when we saw that card in Japanese, Zorora or Zorora, however you say his name.
Hmm.
That little neon color look to him that looks really cool. So that'll be one I need to pick up. I really need to get on top of buying some of these cards I like um, as the sets come out because it is pretty cheap.
They
So
are. I'm gonna say one of the it's of the Japanese set, but we'll give that later. I shouldn't. I'll mention that later. But I mean, there's multiple cards here that I would love to have. Like this Gulpin is another one where they did this sort of minimalist design with the colors. They've been doing that a lot this era.
yeah, I don't like the full RDXs. Like those are pretty terrible in my opinion. Like I
They're kind
literally
of the new rainbow
think,
cards. They're kind of the new rainbow
yeah, I
cards.
literally think the base EX cards look better than the full arts. Because yeah, they all try to do like a special background for them, and it makes the card look like basic. Um,
Hmm.
which were like Gulpin, it's like an art style. That's what they're going for, but like I don't know, it's like the full RDXs. They just put like a generic background on. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Do like the Milcery stuff like that. Um,
Actually, it's not as much as you would think. AC isn't that expensive.
I would guess that it is $30 raw.
It's a little bit more. It looks like it's basically and it's kind of all over the place because it just released. But I would say the market right now is around $70.
Okay, so that's pretty good.
It'll be there. It'll be at about 20 to 30 raw at some point. But
Yeah.
I was thinking that would be the most valuable card. I'm kind of curious what the Terrapagos EX is going for because that would be the second guess.
Yeah. That'd probably be number one. There's a little Squirtle special art rare. That
Uh,
one's pretty legit.
It is. It
That
is.
one's probably going for 10 to 15, maybe 20 since it's Squirtle. So, yeah. Got some solid stuff sprinkled
Terrapagos.
throughout. There's even a Bulbasaur, too.
Yeah.
But that's a little more basic looking. But
Yeah, I thought the same thing. It was kind of like a CGI art.
yeah. There is. We do have Paradise Dragona secret rares revealed. So once you look that up, we can kind of talk a little bit about that. Um,
So the Terrapagos EX is about 140. So that one is the most expensive, I would assume. But
yeah, yeah, probably so. Um, so yeah, Paradise Dragona. It doesn't roll off the tongue as easy as I would think it would. But
no,
Dragona or Dragona.
Dragonia, Dragonia.
Yeah, something like that. So we do have the secret rares revealed for that. Um, I don't think it'll be any surprise that the Latios and Latias from this set with the continued art sun backgrounds, like those two will do really well. Obviously
Because they're
there.
one art, yeah.
Yeah. There's another article that I brought up too. It's the most valuable and least valuable cards of Paradise Dragona. And we'll go to that. But
If I want the least valuable, I always thought the one with the most valuable.
Yeah.
But
There's a arm and a leg trainer, which looks pretty cool, very waifu like. So that one's probably doing well. Um, and then Liza or
oh
Licia.
yeah, the arm and leg is the yep. That's a big trainer. So it's not
Yeah,
surprising. That is the number one card.
that's pretty much Licia. Like Licia
Yeah,
also has another.
Altar. Yeah.
Yeah, so
So she's got two valuable ones for the time now. Yeah, there's
yeah,
three cards in this. Wait, no, there's two. Never mind. That was the little Hadius. I misread it as Lissia having three cards in this set, and they were all worth like $40 plus. I was like, really? And I was like, no, that's Latia CX. Okay, that makes a little more sense.
yeah, yeah. And if you look, I mean, there's like this was a it just released not too long ago in Japan, a few days ago. Um, article pulls card prices from Akari, a popular auction website over there. Gives a clue of the initial interest of the cards. These are the most valuable cards in the set. There's Licia's Appeal, which is a SIR, which that's kind of like arm and a leg, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the translation, but yeah, 164 to 192 right off the bat. The set's very new. It'll come down a lot, but that'll be an over $100 card for sure.
Yeah, my guess is it'll settle around $100, 90 to 100 raw is kind of what I'm assuming.
Yeah. And there's Latias EX, of course, 64, 78. Lysia's Appeal, which is 40 to 43. That's the full art version. And then number 4 is Alolan Executor EX at $21. So really drops off quick.
Yeah,
I think we've been seeing that too with a lot of the newer sets. There's
that's
about
kind of how
1 to
it's been
3,
with
1 to
most
4
sets.
cards, and then everything else just, nah.
Well, I kind of noticed they've been making feels like a little bit smaller sets. And I wonder if they finally heard having 90 secret rares is too much. I
Have they been smaller though?
feel like they have been. Let me see if my
Because they do
if my memory.
sometimes where they don't number the cards or they don't number the secret rares,
Well, let's talk.
as
Let's
the
look at the
normal
English.
sets.
Obviously, let's see the English.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it's still pretty much the same, but could be
Well, okay,
wrong.
it's still a lot of cards, but it's not as much secret rares like
Gotcha.
SARs. So it is still big sets, but it's filled. It has a lot of filler. So what is that with the? Yeah, I should rephrase that. It was a lot less secret rares. So this is what is that?
Like
I guess
Shrouded.
it's still about 34. It's still about 34 ish with that rarity.
Yeah. There's Shrouded
So I guess it's
Fable,
still a
which was
lot.
kind of like not a full set at 64. And that used to be what full sets were back in the day. But Twilight Masquerade, I guess, would be the next to compare. And it's at 167 plus 59 secret rares. So it's still up there for the normal sets, but I think
I mean,
they call the illustration rares. Well, I don't even know if they call those the secret rares. So yeah, it's a lot still. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, you can't even fill up. What is it? 167 plus 59. That's what 108. Or wait, what did I do there? Um, 226. So you can't even really fill up a full like 360 card 9 pocket binder with 2 sets. You pretty much have to do a binder for every set now. So yep, it's weird. That's what would bug me if I was a set collector. It's like you'd have to do like the ring binders and like add in pages where you need because the sets are so big now. But that's where we're at. I don't collect modern, so
Well, it makes most sense just to collect individual singles from Ultra Modern and have it one whole binder, unless that's what you get out of it with Ultra Modern. My problem is a lot of Ultra Modern cards has a lot of fluff with the artwork. Now there's like cool individual ones, but a lot of their art, like this from Twilight Masquerade, giraffe rig that Shinji Kanda did. That's just incredible. But then the very next card, Fara Giraffe looks very generic, and I just don't get enjoyment out of that. But I think some people do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everyone's got their own style, and I like a lot of symmetry in mine. But it's everyone's different. People will all have their own little things. There was a that Skarmory card that's like the
Yes,
yeah, that's
yes.
actually pretty cool.
This one is, yeah. I was wanting to talk about this one. Um, I haven't Googled his name yet. I was meaning to do it during the podcast, and this art style. What does it remind you of? I'm curious. What does it remind you of when you see this Skarmory?
Um, hmm. I don't know. It reminds me of kind of um, like old style painting, but I can't remember what style that is. Like especially in the clouds, but yeah, I can't really put a point to it though. What's it remind
So it
you of?
looks like this is just his second card, if I'm reading Bulbapedia. He's got several with the online, which also look cool. What's interesting is they each have a different style than the Skarmory. There is some similar stuff, but he changes the aesthetic to almost have a different appearance and style. With the online cards, which are very good. His only card in the TCG artwork is Aegislash,
Yeah.
and it doesn't look too much like Skarmory. But Skarmory, so the reason why I like this one is it kind of reminds me of a few things. I don't know what it is, but
Is that
it's like a sci-fi. It was like a sci-fi or like a style of art that I used to see on like a bunch of album covers.
oh yeah,
I
or
think
like
Pink
a
Floyd.
sci-fi novel or something?
Yeah, yeah, like from that era, like you know what I'm talking about, from the 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
It had this sort of like smoothness, where in the future aesthetic, but it also kind of looks like a dream sequence sort of thing.
Yeah.
You see it on a lot of sci-fi books. You would see it like on like I think Pink Floyd has an album cover too that has this aesthetic. Um, it was something I used to see all the time in like the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Now is that the artist Takumi Wada, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he has a few other things. If you do the search on Cerebi, he has quite a few others.
See,
I
I did
mean,
Bulbapedia.
quite a few, meaning like 12. Um, he did a SV promo,
See, it was
which
just showing
is
me the one on Bulbapedia.
he did like this Flutter main one, like SV promo, where it's like in front of a volcano that like looks really sick. Like he does have some really cool stuff.
See, these illustration exhibition are the online ones.
Yeah. But look at that. Look at that Flutter main SV promo. I might have to get that card too. That one looks pretty sick. Dialga's okay.
Yeah, I like how he takes different perspectives that we don't usually see on cards too. I can't help but notice that he has a. It's not always just like it's right in the middle. It's right in the center.
Oh,
He does operate, but
he did the Zacian illustration exposition or expedition
mm-hmm.
exhibition, I should say. Um, yeah, I remember when those came out and they were like they just showcased them, but they weren't making them as cards. And then that Zacian came out, and I think we talked about it on the podcast, like how cool that Zacian was.
Well, the Melmetal, it's a common, or I guess it's a rare, but that style, that Melmetal looks incredible. It has kind of a similar feel, and it's a common. Imagine if he did that with like a full art.
Yeah,
He doesn't have the allure that you see off the bat that Shinji Kanda has. Shinji Kanda, I would say, of a lot of these modern artists, he's probably the one that sticks out the most. And he's probably the one that's going to have the most following from this era so far. But I do like seeing these new artists. Some are trying to break through. You're not seeing a whole lot have their own style like Kanda is, and you're kind of seeing it a little bit with um, Takumi Wada. I'm interested to see a lot more from him.
I feel like you can tell his art style by looking at the Pokemon itself.
That's how
Like,
you see it. You don't see it by the background.
yeah, the backgrounds change. Sometimes they're more realistic. The colors change
The
a lot.
tones, yeah, the feeling the tones a little bit.
And it might be because he does a good job, like, capturing where that Pokemon would be. Like, he captures it in, like, the habitat that you think you would find it in. And he does a good job, like, showcasing tons of different habitats in the background. So maybe that's why it's hard to tell from the background. But if you look at the Pokemon itself, it has almost like a oh, what the heck was the artist who did like the Lance's Charizard? It had like the where the wild things are type,
Mm,
style. Let me look it up real quick, but it almost has that. It's instead of the lines, he has like fuzziness and different tones of colors. Like in the Latias, it's like red, but he also has like dark red, a lighter red, and even lighter red, and almost like white red. Like there's like 8 different tones of red in that one red, and it does a really good job of like blending in the Pokemon and making it look more realistic rather than just have that type of background and have like a cartoony look. Um, but yeah, what the heck was that? It's a really, I want to say Fukuda, but I might be totally wrong. I don't want to give the wrong credit. Something else we might talk about later, but I've been kind of burnt out on the old Pokemon here lately, so keeping stuff straight is a little hard for me right now. But Kasube, Aya Kasube, that's who it was. So he's got the wild where the wild things are type artwork. So yeah, you can kind of tell by kind of looking at the Pokemon for sure. Let's see. Another thing I wanted to bring up. Elite Trainer Box promos are now shipping in the same sleeves, but they have like a card divider in there with them to keep them from bending. I think it's literally just to keep them from bending and maybe violent damage, but I just feel like there might be a lot more micro scratches with like something like that in the package with it. So we'll see how that turns out. What else? I think that's really, about
there
it for the
isn't much
sets.
going on.
Yeah, I was gonna say something else, and it was right on the tip of my tongue, and I forgot.
I will
Um,
say there. Yeah, go ahead.
oh, you can go ahead. I was
Uh,
thinking something else.
I was just going to say, I noticed just kind of going through here that people think there's going to be a big Legends ZA release or something around that time for the following year,
Yeah,
which makes sense. They'll have something that goes with it. They kind of did a little bit of that with some of the Arceus characters. They had some of the Hisuian characters and that were printed, so I wonder if they might go a little further.
yeah. I found out the other thing I was going to mention is the trick or trade cards. So they stepped up the trick or trade cards a little bit, and they now have like a hollow logo and a hollow border. Not on all of them, but on the hollows. So that's pretty cool. But another thing is they have cards like Flutter Mane, where they're like future or past, and the cards that are like that have like this little fading of the card color. Like for instance, Flutter Mane is psychic, so like on the right side of the card, the purple of the psychic kind of fades into like the ancient colors, like kind of a brown. But on these trick or trade cards, they actually made that part of the card hollow. So it's really, you can't really see it on Pokelector. But if you look that card up, like Fluttermane Trick or Trade 2024, it looks pretty sick. I mean, the hollow on that just being on the border all the way around, but then actually bleeding into towards the middle of the card. It looks really cool in person. I'll have to pick that card up and
Yeah, they have like a galaxy foil going on.
yeah, and I'll have to pick up the Mimikyu too. So kind of reminds you of the celebrations promos like the Mimikyu and the Toxicity, stuff like that. Of course, there's a Ghastly Haunter Gengar line. Gengar looks like he's licking the Trick or Trade logo promo. And then there's Umbreon in there. So a little skinny looking, you know, Ozempic taking Umbreon there. So Iron Jugulus. God, I hate
Iron
these names.
Jugs.
I hate
Iron
these
Jugs.
names. Looks like it has the same, it's a future Pokemon, so it's kind of got the same effect just on the future side. But yeah, someone shared a picture. I think it was Rusty of the Fluttermane,
Damn,
and
that
it
thing's
just
worth a
looks
cent.
good. Do what?
That card's worth a cent on TCG Player.
Which one?
Iron Jugglos.
Iron Jugs.
Iron Jugglus.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all these cards are probably.
We're the boomers now.
Pretty sure all these cards are worth nothing. Like, even with the
Because there's some
very.
print of the ground.
Well, that, yeah, and like they're meant to be handed out. And the. Even the first iteration 2 years ago, I think it was, you could find those all over the place. So I think the Mewtwo at one point got up to like $5, but pretty sure you can buy the whole set for like 20. But other than that, though, that's pretty much all the news I wanted to cover. I did have a little question that we could touch on real quick, but maybe a couple regarding Burnout too. But if you're ready or don't want to cover any
I'm
more
ready.
news, we can hop on in.
Oh yeah, I am ready.
So just to kill a little more time on E4, there was a question brought up. What specific card in your collection can you not get enough of? So which one do you just sit there and like stare at all the time?
So I know people have heard me go into detail in regards to Ancient Mew, so I'm not going to go into that one. After that, for Ultra Modern, now this might have more included into it, but I would have to say Smeargle, the character rare.
Okay.
That
Which one
would
is
be,
that? Oh, the one that you graded and stuff too.
yeah, it's something about it. I don't know what it is. It's the colors, it's the way the colors are shown, it's the composition. I don't know what it is. I love that card. Love.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
And that's one I literally have 20 copies of currently. And I would like to have hundreds because they're cheap as hell. And I just want to be like, look at all these cards I got. And they're so cheap. And they're just so fun to collect and just look at. Like, that would be the one I would say for me.
It's funny because like the second post on there, someone posted Dark Charmeleon, and they have like an entire 12-page binder of them. Like a binder page. I'm sure there's lots more, but yeah, that's kind of what you'd go for with that. There's a lot of people who like share multiples of the same card. Here's one collecting the Mew promos from the first movie. Got binder pages
Ancient
of
Mew
them.
would be probably overall, but I would say Smeargle.
Yeah. Mine, I always say my favorite card is that 20th anniversary Festa. It totally is, but the one I like admire the most is probably either my Mewtwo Gold Star or my Charizard Gold Star. Just because those cards have been with me so long. Just what they mean, specifically the Mewtwo, finding it in my buddy's binder way back in the day and not really knowing what it was. I just knew it was shiny and it looked cool, so I wanted it. And then, yeah, just what that started for me just kind of brings me back. And since I've had it longer than most other cards, I got to admire it and look at it longer than most of the other ones do. So that's kind of where it's at for me.
I'm
A lot
trying to
of
think of other. Yeah.
I was just gonna say a lot of people are posting like smaller cards though, like Dark Charmeleon and Mew movie promos and stuff like that. But
I do know there are a few from like from the OG sets. I would say some of the Sky Ridge and e-reader sets are pretty incredible, but they're not like they're not cheap and they're not easily to come by. So it's like it's fun when a card you love is only a couple bucks, so then you can just buy a shit ton of them. Just because it's fun to buy, it's a card that brings you happiness. It's a card that's not expensive. You don't feel like, oh man, I just dropped $2,000 on this card. Like it's just a card that you love, and that's one of the fun parts of the hobby is it doesn't take an expensive card or multiple expensive cards to truly enjoy the hobby.
yeah, for sure. The last thing I kind of want to talk about is kind of the flip side of that, kind of on burnout, where those moments where you don't want to look at any cards, which is kind of where I'm at now. I haven't really been following any news. I have a lot of videos that I've been wanting to edit and throw up there, but just been slacking on that too. Um, has there been any times where you've been feeling that lately, or is it
So,
just me?
I mean, generally, I'll say this, since about 2021, I've been doing pretty good avoiding burnout. And here's how I do it. I have hyperfixations. Like I'm ADHD. I have periods where I'm very into Pokemon TCG, periods where it's on the back burner. I don't really think too much about it. Like I just sell a car and you can be like, okay, pack it up, sell it, whatever, on to the next thing. Um, and part of the way I've been avoiding burnout, I think, is also because I've made it my goal where it's essentially just Grail onlys. So all these ultra modern cards are cool. They're cool to look at. One day I'll potentially get it, but there's no rush. You know why? Because those cards are still going to be there. Those cards aren't going to be that expensive. You don't need to buy it now. You don't need to become over infatuated with the cards and be over immersed and be overstimulated and just be like, and just get to the point where you just
Give
can't
into the
function.
bubble.
With like your ADHD overstimulation or whatever. Um, and how I avoid it is I have other hobbies. Now, I do have other hobbies where in fixations, some of them where I spend money. Like another one recently I've been kind of doing a lot more of is vinyl. It's kind of another collection. Like I mentioned before, how Bob Dylan's my favorite artist. Well, I'm trying to get all of his albums, but not just his albums. Certain key musicians like Howlin' Wolf, Warren Zevon, so the Beatles. Certain key albums, musicians, like very very micro on which ones to buy because I don't have space for all this crap, right? But very very important on which ones I get, and I think it's fun because it's only $15-$20 for an album. Sometimes you can get them like even cheaper, and so you're not spending a lot of money. Now it can add up, but it's fun because you're spending a little bit of money, you're not getting burnt out, you're enjoying something else, you're enjoying another passion. I think when you start reaching that point, it's okay to take a step back a little bit. It'll still be there when you want to come back. You're not going to miss anything. We're in a kind of this routine now with Pokemon. Now, there's always going to be this sense of FOMO. It's always going to be there. It will control you if you let it. And I think there are times where some situations you might merit FOMO might be a thing, not the fact that it won't be there, but just in the sense you should be part of the experience. I don't think you're missing anything by not being involved within the hobby at this time. I think it's okay if you feel like you need to take a step back, enjoy time with family, go out and about and enjoy a sports game. I don't know. Like there's all these other things you can enjoy without just looking at cardboard and looking at Pokemon. There are different things, and having too much of one thing and binging so much can lead like to this dopamine high, and what happens is you'll crash from it. So then you become even more depressed, than you were from your high. It's I think you have to manage those experiences and know when you need to take a step away to enjoy something else, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's definitely kind of my problem. It's like I go so hard into it, and
Hmm.
like especially was kind of feeling it before CollectCon, then I really ramped up hard for CollectCon and after CollectCon and selling all these cards. Um, so then, like, yeah, I just probably spiked too high and came down crashing. So it's going to be a slow build back. And
Yeah.
then it'll eventually build, and then max out again probably before the next CollectCon I go to. But yeah, I definitely feel that. I've also just been, maybe with the election cycle, just all the BS that you hear about now.
Everything's amplified. Everything's
Yeah,
amplified.
it's just got me like looking into that more, and it's like, man, I kind of hate how the hobby has become. Like, good for these guys who are like getting big on YouTube, but it's like, I just really don't care to do all that stuff or to even consume all that stuff anymore. It's like I would rather just be chilling, doing my own thing, and listening to a guy who's like also just chilling and maybe narrating what he's looking up, or like, let's check out this set. Oh, that card looks pretty cool. I wonder how that much that's going for, and have his opinion on why it's going for that much. Like really boring stuff. Like that's what I want to watch. I am tired of all the fake stuff and just
Yo, look at that pack.
yeah,
Yo,
just
look at those hits.
all things wrong with social media. It's like I'm just tired of it. I've actually, when I was at work this week on downtime, I went through my phone and deleted like every single app that I didn't use like every week pretty much. And as I do with my extreme minimalism, and maybe it's sparked because like I'm using all the money from the cards and looking at other things that I could get rid of to fund some investment stuff. But maybe that has sparked something in me to just like get rid of all the access. Like I just feel like my life is too busy now, working night shift and a kiddo and everything. And I don't know, I'm just cutting as many inputs as possible. And Pokemon, I'm not cutting the inputs there. I'm just not consuming it as much. But since that's one thing that I want to keep, it's just kind of on the back burner right now, and I'm focusing on other stuff that I could eliminate right now. But yeah, that's me. It's just a little struggle. Um, Not really like depressed or anything. I'm just kind of in an autopilot mode, like going to work, doing the grind, throwing some money in the investment account, checking that every day. That's where my session is right now, is like the markets and stuff, and like having some cash. Like all these big people are selling stuff to have big piles of cash. It's like that's what I'm trying to do right now, so I can be ready if like an opportunity comes in the market, or you know, with this election, if something crazy happens, maybe I can be ready to make a play. But lots of things to think about, lots of things going on. I did order some cards that I needed for Magic the Gathering, some decks there. I have like 4 lists going, 4 like Lorcana lists, Magic lists, Pokemon set lists. So I'm just went ahead and spent some money trying to eliminate those so I can stop thinking about those. I've had these lists for like 4 years. Um, just trying to simplify the life. Um, and yeah, you probably noticed some of that too. Like we said, we both been busy, but like I just don't want to like talk to people much. It's like I just want to do my own thing for a minute and focus and eliminate some of the extra noise. And it's been going pretty good. So I'll flip it around here in a few weeks probably and get back to normal.
Well, I'd say one of the things that kind of like I was feeling it, like I was actually feeling it with sending this cards off. I was kind of looking at other cards potentially to buy. And then I got all my grades back, and it was thankfully with the auto grade with the EV and the 10 that really saved me because it made it to where I will be making a little bit of money slash break even after like taxes. So it's like thankfully for that. But it's frustrating because I was hoping for like $1,000 more, and I
Yeah.
didn't get the hits that I was hoping, and that was very frustrating. And the frustrating thing is, on top of that, it's like there's no easy way to accrue a decent amount of cards. It's not the grading. I feel like if you one don't have a card shop, you can just check in periodically just to get great near mint PSA 10 quality cards, or you go to a con. You could try to buy a bunch of cards in near mint if the odds are with you, but I just don't like just trusting what the other person's saying with near mint, with it'll be a PSA 10. I just don't like that. Um, so it's just, it's a lot. There's not too much I can do unless we prepare for a con, and it's like, I feel like I need to make money to get the goals I want because I prioritize get the big three for first edition, Charizard, Venusaur, Blastoise, and get the Luigi PSA 9. That's my goal where if I had to stop collecting big cards right then and there, I can live with that.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, there's other cards I'd love to have, but like if those are the cards, only big cards I could ever get, I can live comfortably with that, and that's kind of what I'm focusing on. That's kind of what I'm trying to do flips for to help me get that Charizard, and I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna be like, I was hoping to get it this year, and I just don't see it happening. You know, it's not so much things when it gets my favorite, just essentially I'm still waiting on a few things with quarterly investments and then not just that, but also I was kind of expecting a raise by this time and it hasn't
Yeah.
quite gotten there yet. So I'm gonna have to wait till next year if that's the case. Based on when I get it. So everything's kind of not quite going as smoothly as I had hoped. And because now that might still change based on the bonus I get at the end of the year. The fact is that my boss isn't exactly clarifying anything, so he hinted like I'm going to get a much larger bonus this year, but he also hasn't been very clear. So it's like I'm hopefully, but I don't know. So I literally can't plan anything beyond this year, pretty much.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the situation I'm in. So that's just kind of why I said screw it. There was an auction. There's a local auction house that's having a bunch of vinyl, all near mint copies. It has both Warren Zevon, Bob Dylan, some of my favorite artists, and I'm like, you know what? I was looking at everything that they had. I could complete most of his discography that I want, and I was like, screw it, let's do it, let's go for it. Let's just finish that head off right now for just a couple $100. So I'm like, okay, whatever, I'm doing it. So that's kind of the direction I'm at, and that's probably the last $200 I spend until Christmas, essentially.
Yeah.
you know,
It's kind of about where I'm at too. Like with those lists, it's like just get things done. I know I'm always gonna want those cards, so it's like just get them done. Stop thinking about them. Just do it. Just do
yeah,
it.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of where I was. I do know next year I'm going for something. I might have to lower my expectations on the Zard I want. I might have to go to like a PSA 4, but I do want to get the trio at the very least by the end of next year, and I will. I don't care if I got to sell. I don't know what it is. I'll have to sell. I'll find something. I'll find $1,000 somewhere with all my collections. I mean, I got comics. I got vinyl. I got coins. I got cards still. Like if I have to come up with the money somehow to get the big three or at least the Zard, like I will find a way to do it. And that's what I want by the end of next year because I would like to have that leading into 2026 with a bunch of money or buy a bunch of raw cards next year at a KCCon. I haven't decided. We'll see. I don't know what my plan is going forward with that. All I know is I'm trying to set myself up nicely for a big payday in 2026.
Yeah. Yeah, just gotta focus. Feel like a lot of people are feeling the same thing. Even vendors at the CollectCon this year, you could kind of feel it. And like we said, small guys who are barely making it, if they don't get things together, they're gonna be feeling it. So
Well, I noticed. I mean, I think we said this on the podcast. There were a few people that weren't there, and they were trying to get out of it. I think we're going to see even less, and the whole thing with potentially more shows scare me because if there's more shows, that means there's going to be less vendors making it, different vendors. They're going to be picking and choosing. It was already looking back kind of rough trying to get all the near mint copies that we got, and obviously should have sent it in, but obviously having a much larger budget will help because I was trying to limit what I bought. But what worries me is the burn rate. Like how many how many PSA 10, PSA 9 candidates of these cards are for Ultra Modern are we going to find still around by next year? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like these, like you can't go with, oh, it's $20. It's $20, 25 for a card in your mint. You can't go any lower because then you're losing money. Even at a 9, you're still going to be losing probably 10 to 15 bucks. You know what I mean? So that's the lowest you can go. So it's just about finding those cards, and I just don't know what to expect. So it's like, can't really do too much about that. Cross that bridge when you come to it. Can't do much right now. No plans to go on a con probably this year. It's going to be probably, I know we kind of discussed potentially Denver next year, maybe in February. Um, but we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think we'll leave it at that. We're going on 50 minutes almost, so that's pretty good for not really having much at all. So, yeah.
Bullshit in the bullshit.
That's bullshit.
Some more bullshit. All right.
But all right, guys, we'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.